Hello, everybody, and welcome to Bayou Bets, Thursday, September 14th, 2023. We have an exciting, jam-packed show for you today. We are finally into our football routine, although you wouldn't know it because I'm like a chicken with my head cut off. I'm Jim Derry, that chicken. The guy next to me, I guess the other way. There you go. Spencer the Guru Urquhart is here on this Thursday. What is going on, Spence?
Hey, Jim. I'm good, man. Just ready to get into these debates, man. I know we've got some Saints
Oh,
Panthers
man.
talk.
We can have a
Mississippi
debate today?
State. I think so, man, because in the pre-production, we seem to be on opposite ends of how we felt about the Carolina Panthers. So see how that goes.
Yeah. Uncle Big Nick's here. He's a big chicken. You should have heard his picks today. He's already trying to back off of his receipts, trying to pick Colorado State. Yeah. All right, we got a lot going on. We'll show you what's going on in the show if you don't know already. The Saints have to wait till Monday, and so we may wait till Monday. You'll probably get a sense of what we're picking through our discussion here on the Saints in just a little bit, but the Saints will not be playing until Monday, in case you didn't know. You all know that they're on Monday Night Football, playing the Carolina Panthers, first road game of the year. What do they need to do to win? What do they have to avoid to lose? And will they be 2-0 for the first time since 2013? They haven't been 2-0 in 10 years. Got a chance to do that this week. LSU at Mississippi State, we will learn a whole lot about these fighting Tigers. Are they back in the race? Was Florida State that good? Were they that bad? Was a little bit of both. Going to find out a lot about LSU playing in Starkville on Saturday morning, 11 a.m. Got to get up early. You're going to watch LSU and the Tigers. At least guys like me got to get up early because on Saturday I like to sleep. I guess I ain't sleeping this Saturday. Tulane at Southern Miss on 3 p.m. on Saturday afternoon. Will Michael Pratt play? Will Michael Pratt not play? Doesn't matter. We're going to get into that. That spread, as I came on the air, was at 12.5. We're going to talk about that in a little bit. And then the return of Big Bucks. I'm excited to bring back Big Bucks. We're going to have Gabe Henderson on a little this afternoon. Our new sports betting director, Thomas Casale, is going to be on in a little bit. It is going to be a whole lot of fun, and I can't wait to talk smack and just tell everybody how my picks are great and everybody else's suck. It's going to be great. Who's going to wear an L on their face?
Defending champ right here.
Yeah, but I didn't. I'm the only one on this screen that didn't have to wear an L on my face or in the green
I just
room.
felt bad for Gabe, man. I wasn't really that high on TCU. I actually had bet Georgia. I just felt bad, but hey, I took my L though. I put my not where my money was. I took my punishment because of my big mouth, but I won big bucks, so my big mouth.
Your dad's hanging around. Your dad's hanging around. He's in the back watching. Yes, Big Nick. 11 a.m. is early for me on a Saturday. It's not during the week. I don't get to sleep a lot. I mean, you work a 9 to 5 job like a normal person. I work like 8 to midnight. I mean, that is what it is. Of course, I cover sports for a living, so it could be a whole lot worse. I'd rather do what I do from 8 to midnight than do what you do from 9 to 5, even though you make a whole lot more money than me. That's a whole different story. We're not gonna get into all that. Not this early. All right, we'll see what's going on. Let's talk about the New Orleans Saints. New Orleans Saints, do they need to play better offense to beat Carolina on the road in week 2? We got a lot more to talk about than that because we might focus a little bit more on the Panthers in this show because we're going to do a more of a preview on the Saints Panthers in Monday's show before the Monday night game. Spence, I found it interesting when I was trying to I was trying to present some stats to you in the pre-production show about, were you surprised? I mean, you were surprised. I mean, I asked you what you thought the Panthers' offensive ranking was after week 1, and you said, I don't know, 25th, 26th, way off. Then I asked you what you thought the Saints' defensive rank was, and you said, I don't know, 5th, way off. To show that the Saints' defense and the Panthers' offense is exactly the same. They are both 17th. I'm not going to ask you, are you surprised? Why are you surprised?
Well, first off, we're talking all this about week 1. I mean, week 1 overreactions, right? I mean, we can't take these numbers too serious. I mean, it's just 1 week. So the way I view it is I look at certain things such as what position groups are looking weak and strong at this point. And the thing that encourages me is that about the Panthers, as far as from a Saints perspective, that the Panthers receivers are just awful. As we see here with the breakdown there, if we want to go off week 1, pass 26, run 5th. Yeah, the Panthers can run the football. Miles Sanders, Chuba Hubbard, solid running back duo. But Bryce Young in the passing game looked atrocious. The only weapon they had that was doing anything was Hayden Hurst. So with the receivers there looking so bad, it's like I don't see the Saints having much trouble here. I see it being pretty similar to the Titans, because with the Titans, you had Derrick Henry, Tajay Spears. Outside of them, you didn't have a whole lot. Ryan Tannehill, terrible, 3 picks. Last week, Bryce Young, 2 picks. So I think this is a product of the Saints getting a break here as far as the schedule, and the Saints defense, bend but don't break. Yeah, they gave up some yards last week, but they came through and it mattered. And with Carolina's red zone offense looking pretty bleak, I feel like it's shaping up pretty well for the Saints.
You contradicted yourself about 8 times in the last minute and a half. You're saying at one point you're saying overreaction Monday, that we're overreacting in week 1, and then you're talking about how bad the Carolina because of what you saw in Carolina amongst the wide receivers. I'm not sure which one I don't know which one you're talking about. Which one is overreacting? Which one isn't overreacting? I'm trying to get. Should we overreact or should we not overreact?
Well, Carolina's passing game I figured would be bad this year. We all knew before the season that their receiving core was patchwork.
No, we didn't all know. I don't think it's that bad.
Adam Thielen, DJ Chark, well, he didn't play, but still, he's nothing special. Jonathan Mingo, a rookie. Terrace Marshall has done nothing in his pro career. I know he's an LSU guy, but let's be real. He has been a bust so far at the NFL level. They don't have weapons over there. Plus, their offensive line is a work in progress. Bryce Young was under duress. I went back and watched some film from last week. Bryce Young didn't have much time back there in his defense, even though he stunk. So I don't think the Saints defense is going to have much trouble here. And I don't really feel like it's an overreaction, because we knew going in, well, I figured going in that offense was going to be bad. Same thing with Tennessee. I figured the early part of the schedule shaped up pretty well for the Saints.
You know who's under duress? Derek Carr. A lot. Trevor Penning might be the worst left tackle in football right now. So I'd rather have a below average receiving core with a good offensive line. And I think Carolina has a decent offensive line. I'm not ready to call them good yet. I don't think they played fantastic last week. Atlanta was able to, they played well for the first two and a half quarters. I think they kind of lacked a little bit in the fourth quarter, and that score was very misleading against Atlanta, by the way. Carolina led that game well into the third quarter. But if Trevor Penning doesn't play better, or the Saints don't do something to give Derek Carr more help on the left side besides putting in fullback Adam Prentice, I don't know how the Saints are going to be able to hold up to this offensive line. Again, I'm not ready to make a prediction yet. I'll make my official prediction on Monday. I made one in my NFL picks column. I reserve the right to change my mind before the game comes, because obviously you can bet all the way up to game time. So why can't I make a change in my prediction if I want to? I mean, my prediction, I said the Saints are going to have a lot of trouble. I mean, just what I said. But maybe I'll change my mind. Maybe I won't. You look at these total defensive rankings, the Saints 17th, again, week 1, you can't put a ton into that. But the fact that they were 15th against the pass, I think that's what a lot of people are probably surprised about, because Ryan Tannehill looked so awful last week, but yet the Tennessee passing was 15th. 15th in the NFL. Just goes to show there was a lot of teams that passed poorly last week. It wasn't, people are talking like Ryan Tannehill is the worst quarterback in the league. What are they saying about Joe Burrow? Why are they giving Joe Burrow a pass, but not Tannehill? Maybe the Saints pass rush is that good. I don't know. Whatever it is. We're going to find out. It's coming up soon, coming up on Monday. I just think that I think almost everything from week 1 is an overreaction. And to say that the Carolina receiving core is, you said in pre-production, I didn't hear you say it here, but you said they're the worst in football. There is no way that list is the worst in football. I'm just going to say that. It might not be great, but they're not the worst in football. Cincinnati passed for 78 yards last week. Are they the worst?
He got Jamar Chase and T. Higgins. He got Jamar Chase and T. Higgins.
They were 78 yards last week.
Doesn't matter. And also with this, with these rankings here, we also got to look at at points. Who's scoring these points? The Saints defense, they may have given up some yards there, but it was bend but don't break. Didn't give up a single touchdown. You can't talk about how many points
they're giving in week 1. That doesn't mean anything. Yards are way more important early in the week. You want to talk about points? I mean, maybe at the end of the season, I don't even think yards are way more important to me than points. That is a more overall.
I disagree.
When
Points
you're
are the
talking about
results. Red zone
yeah, but they're not
defense is a
results
real
of one
thing.
unit. They're not
Red
results
zone
of a unit.
defense is
Not
very
results of a
important.
unit.
And the Saints' red zone defense really impressed me in week 1. And I see it continuing because the Panthers have no answers down there, as we saw last week. I mean, they moved the ball some on Atlanta, but come the red zone, they choked because they don't have any weapons down there.
When you're comparing a unit, when you're comparing a defense, or if you're comparing a team, sure, go with points all you want. But when you're comparing a unit, such as the Saints offense or the Carolina defense or the Saints defense with you're going by yards. You're not just going by points, because it's misleading a lot of times. It has a lot of factors going in there, but the yards over the course of when you talk about a team that has a ranking, if you're talking about points, that is specifically stated. If you don't say anything, it's yards per game allowed. Or yards per game.
I look at both. I'm just saying.
I'm not saying whether we look at it or not. I'm just saying when someone says they have the 10th ranked offense, that means they have gained the 10th most yards, unless you specifically say they have the 10th most points scored. That's how it's always been, whether it's right or wrong.
Oh, yeah, right. I'm not disagreeing with that. But
we're going to debate Carolina. We're going to debate this a lot more on Monday. We have a lot more time Monday. Obviously, we will spend probably 2/3 of our show on Saints Panthers as the Saints take on the Panthers on the road. Monday night, our show is at 4:00 in the afternoon. You have plenty of time to watch us to get ready for the game, but we're going to move on because we have a lot of things going on this weekend, including the LSU Tigers, who take on the Mississippi State Bulldogs on Saturday morning. LSU traditionally they're not that great on Saturday morning, but in Starkville, they've been very good. And you see some of the notes here, Spencer. They've lost just one time in Starkville since 1999. I believe it was either 2017 or 2018. So the Tigers have fared well on the road in this series. They've actually fared well in the series overall, obviously leading at 74, 36, and 3. Last year won by 2 touchdowns. How important is this game for you?
Must win. As simple as that. I mean, the Tigers they can't be sleepwalking. They have to get this done fairly easily, in my opinion. If this ends up a freaking just sleepwalk fest where they come out sluggish, Jaden Daniels turns the ball over early, this could get ugly. So they've got to start off strong, and I feel like they'll cover this spread, and they need to they don't worry about betting, but just for their own sake, they've got to win this, I feel like, by double digits, because this Mississippi State team without Mike Leach is not very good. I mean, they struggled with Arizona last week. So this is a game where if LSU wants to put the disastrous week 1 fully behind them, they've got to come out strong and just play well start to finish. You can't have sloppy play, turnovers, and the defense also has to shut down Mississippi State, because it was more the defense was what was the biggest issue in week 1. So both units have to get better, but especially the defense. Be interesting to see if the secondary can clean up the issues that plagued them early on.
Well, this is a much different team they're playing. Obviously, they still they throw the ball probably more than Florida State does. But I think LSU matches up much better, obviously, with Mississippi State. I said it before. I think Florida State could potentially, I'm not saying they are yet, but I think Florida State could be the best team in college football when all is said and done. I think they are that talented, especially on offense. I think their receivers are as physical as any other receivers, and I think their quarterback is as good as any other quarterback right now. I mean, I'm not saying he's going to get drafted in the first round or be the first pick of the draft like Caleb Williams, who's obviously a Heisman candidate again, but I think that they are in a position to be very, very good. And obviously they're one of the favorites to be in the playoffs now at this point in time. So what I'm trying to tell you is I don't think LSU should take too much from that loss from Florida State. It got away from them in the end. That score also was misleading. A couple of touchdowns in a row got away. I'm with you, Spence. I think that this is a key game for anything else. Their psyche, they have got to have their psyche and be ready to go early in the morning, which might not necessarily be an easy thing to do. We'll find out. So I think this is a big one as well for the Tigers. I'm going to ask the question, which one is more important after we finish talking about this, because also the Tulane Green Wave are playing a big one. Spencer, will Michael Pratt play Saturday? Does it matter for the Green Wave whether he plays or not? Maybe it matters when it comes to spread, but personally, I don't think it matters whether they win or not. I think they're going to come out strong in this game and play very well in Hattiesburg.
Yeah, I mean, I think the Wave are in a decent spot here. The only thing is Southern Miss is a team that played them tough. I mean, they beat them last year. So this is definitely not a gimme game, even though it's a double-digit spread. And I think Pratt playing could make a difference here because they feel like if he would have played, I think they could have beat Ole Miss last week. So, yeah, it's an interesting spot. We'll see how they respond after that loss. I'm personally not betting this. I don't really feel strongly either way. I think the Wave will find a way to win, but it might be ugly. And if Pratt doesn't play, then their defense is going to have to really step up because this could end up one that could get away from them. But regardless if he plays, I think they'll find a way because their defense showed out last week, especially against the run. Tulane's run defense, very strong.
I agree. By the way, this line at Caesar Sportsbook, which is the official odds partner of bet.NOLA.com, is 12.5. It's kind of been jumping all over the place, Spencer. I saw it earlier in the week. It was 11. Then it jumped quickly to 13. A lot of money, whether it be sharp money or not, big money came out on Tulane, obviously. I don't know if someone thought they knew something or if Pratt was going to play, but then it's kind of settled back down a little bit. I wouldn't be surprised if this ends up to be 12 around game time. Tulane right now, minus 12.5. If the word does come out that Michael Pratt is going to play, I think this jumps up to 14 or 14.5.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, it'd be about a 2-touchdown game at that point, but I still don't know if I'd feel comfortable betting on Tulane because Southern Miss they're not great, but I think they'll hang. I think this will be a close game.
Yep, Kai Horton, I thought played fairly well last week. The running game maybe not as well. They need to pick some things up. So I'm going to ask the question that I was kind of leading in with. Which game is more important in the grand scheme of things? And I know it's easy to say right off the bat that LSU is more important, and maybe it is. But I think people are underestimating how important this game is for Tulane because, seriously, they could run the table. I mean, if they run the table and go 11-1, Tulane's going to be in the discussion. Not be in the discussion. I think they're going to be one of the leading candidates to be in that New Year's 6 games. And they're going to have a chance to, whether it be the Cotton Bowl again or one of the other big games, they're going to have a chance to play in one of those.
Yeah, there's no denying that. This is a big one for Tulane. The thing with LSU, I feel like is more important for them because, for one, it's a conference game. And also the fact that if you lose this game and LSU's playoff hopes, I'll go as far as to say are over. You cannot lose to Mississippi State to open SEC play, where with Tulane, even if you slip up here, if you run the table in AAC play, you could still make the New Year's 6 bowl. So got to go with LSU here.
Completely agree. I agree that LSU the game is more important, but I don't. And I also agree that if they were to lose, they're completely out of the national championship discussion. It's not like the year that Les Miles won the national championship when they did have 2 losses. They lost to Arkansas in the regular season finale and then got into the SEC championship game, beat Tennessee, and then kind of snuck into the national championship game. That's not happening anymore. They're not going to let that happen anymore. We saw what happened to Alabama, and maybe Gabe wants to talk about that debate again on who deserves to be in the playoffs. But that's a whole nother story. Bring Zach back in. We could debate that again. Who deserved to be in the playoff? 72-7 or whatever the hell the score was. I don't even remember. It was so bad. But LSU needs to win. But I still think that Tulane, it's a huge game as far as Tulane getting. They have no chance. Like LSU has no chance to get into playoffs. Tulane has no chance to me to get into a New Year's 6 bowl if they lose to Southern Miss. That's just my opinion. So they're both extremely important. And I think both teams not only need to win, but need to cover and need to look really, really good this weekend. Okay, let's move on. It's our return of the big bucks. Ooh. And you see, we all have $1,000. It's pretty cool. So let's bring in, let me see if I can do this because last time it didn't want to be kind to us when we added people here. There's Gabe. And Thomas Casale is in. All right. See, no, it doesn't want to do it. All right. I'm going to have to take this off the screen for now and do y'all one at a time, I think, when we get Can we do this? There we
Oh,
go.
look, here we
There
go.
we go. It works. All right. We did it. What's going on, guys? First of all, Thomas, welcome to the team. Glad to have you on here. As you can see, we like to smack talk a little bit. We like to have fun with all this. You're going to be joining me on Thursdays going forward. Spencer will be with me on Mondays. But all four of us will be here for Big Bucks on Thursday afternoons. Welcome to the show.
Thanks. I mean, I'm excited to be here. I like this. We get $1,000 for the season. I usually run through $1,000 by 3:30 Eastern time on Saturday. So I like this method. This will keep me in the game longer.
Man, $1,000 by man. I'd have to hide from my wife if I did that, or be really good at telling secrets. One of the two. If I did that. Gabe, what is going on? You don't have any face paint today.
Not today, and I don't plan on having any face paint for the rest of the season.
Well, I was thinking that maybe the loser, whoever lost, like whoever finishes in last place in this thing, maybe has to do something silly. I don't know. I mean, I'm not talking about face paint, but
we'll see.
All right. We'll talk about it later as we go along. We're not going to say it today because I don't want you guys to like feel compelled to have to give in to. I mean, it was so easy. It was like people said I was taking advantage of you, Gabe. I don't know. Nick, Uncle Big Nick, is trying to suck up already. He says, Thomas, you're his kind of guy. Because the reason why is because you bet like he bets. That's why he's saying it.
So we found the one person out there, huh? Yeah. Thanks, Nick. I appreciate it.
Yeah, Uncle Big Nick is definitely is not a light gambler. Let's just talk about it that way. All right, we're going to start this thing off. We're going to give you two guys. We're going to let you guys go first. The rules are simple. You have up to $100 to bet each week, and basically that's not counting the juice. So we're lenient. Basically, you can bet up to 120 realistically if your bets carry you into that. And we'll try to explain them as we go along. We're going to take about 2 to 3 minutes each. Each person gets a turn. Gabe, you're going to go first. I can't get my there we go. There are your picks.
There we go. Yeah, probably my biggest one of the week. I like Colorado over Colorado State. This is one that really wasn't even on my radar up until Jay Norvell opened his big mouth. I mean, you guys might be a little old to remember this. Spencer, you might not be in weird enough corners of the internet, but there's a video out there from a few years ago that went viral. It was a kid standing in his bedroom, and he's screaming, "When will you learn that your actions have consequences?" And Colorado State needs that message in their ear right now. I mean, teams just need to stop giving Prime and the rest of the Colorado roster any bulletin board material at all. So, I mean, Colorado State lost their opening game at home by 26 to Washington State. This game 4 years ago was decided by 3 touchdowns, and Colorado's only gotten better since then. Prime's obviously brought his luggage with him. And Colorado State's continued to get worse. I think they're one of the worst teams in the FBS. And this, I mean, I said it earlier when a clip of Dion talking to his team came out. If this spread doubled, I might even consider it then, because Colorado is going to absolutely beat them down this weekend.
You're not you're nervous at all that Colorado has won 2 games big? And
I was wrong about them. I said that as soon as they beat TCU, said it in our group chat, apologized. I was wrong about them. I don't think anyone knew they'd be this talented, but Colorado State took, to all fairness to me, I had this game as a Colorado win from the off. So
all right, well, the reason why Uncle Big Nick isn't happy with the smack talking from Colorado State is before that happened, he had already picked Colorado State, and now he's kind of stuck. Our show had already come out, so he's kind of stuck.
Colorado State's horrible.
All right.
Moving on to my next one, I have LSU minus 9.5 against Mississippi State. I mean, you ran through all the statistics earlier. They've been excellent against the Bulldogs. They've been excellent in Starkville. LSU in their last 5, 4-1 against the spread against Mississippi State. Say what you will about LSU as a whole this season. Their offenses look pretty good, all things considered, although they struggled when they got into the red zone against Florida State. Mississippi State has the 86th ranked pass defense in the country right now. They're nowhere near Florida State.
All right, now the other 3, which one's your favorite?
Other one, I like Pittsburgh at home against Cleveland. They're 19-1 in their last 20 at home.
I also like that as well. I think Pittsburgh is in a good bounce back spot. Although I predicted Cleveland to win the division, this is always a hard-fought game, and I still think Cleveland won the division. And I'm not overreacting because I said this before Week 1 even started, but we'll see how it goes. I like that pick as well. We're going to move on. Thomas, you're up in your first set of big bucks picks. You're starting with a clean slate.
Yeah, first I was wondering, how do I get one of those cool nicknames like Spencer, the Guru? You got to win. You got to win. Okay, my kids call me the Meathead, so maybe I can be Thomas the Meathead Casale. How about that?
All right, Meathead, you got it from now on.
So, listen, I don't typically lay 4 touchdowns in a college game. I got this number a little lower on the opener. I think it's still good up to 28. Man, Nevada is got to be – they're the worst team in FBS right now, in my opinion. I think Kansas's offense is too much. I think they roll them. I'll lay the 28 there. Gabe mentioned LSU, right? We were talking about this in pre-production. They typically have their way with Mississippi State. 7-3 the last 10, winning by an average score of 31-17. The other thing I like to do is who are the sharps on, but who aren't they on? You would think Mississippi State would be a nice sharp spot. And instead, more of the money's going towards LSU. It's not a big pro better game, but even the sharps aren't taking the home line with Mississippi State. So I think LSU rolls in this game. I like him to win big. Listen, I think the Bengals bounce back this week. I really do. I like Joe Burrow. I like his over passing yards. Now, in 3 games against the Ravens last year, he didn't go over this number, but I have questions about this Ravens defense. I really do. I think this is going to be a pretty high scoring game. They let Stroud go for 242 last week. I think Burrow bounces back big. I like the Bengals in this spot. I'm with you guys on the Steelers. Now all of a sudden the Browns are road favorites. Hang on a second. The Steelers played, in my opinion, the most talented football team in the NFL last week. And I think the 49ers have a chip on their shoulder after losing to the Eagles last year. So I think this is more of the Steelers kind of game, low-scoring slugfest. I'll take the points at home. And then, hey, I'm going with Spencer's guy, baby. Billy Napier. This guy is great as an underdog. He's 17-5 against the spread as a head coach when his team's an underdog, winning those games covering those games by an average of 8 points. Listen, I know poor old Florida. They're no good. They're over in the corner. Nobody cares about them. I think Tennessee's a little bit overvalued. I worry about Joe Milton being this Heisman-type quarterback. I think this is a dogfight. I'm not taking the points. I'm going Gators money line, baby. I think Florida's got a shot to win this game, so I'm going to take the money line, picking the upset. Listen, it's a pretty good. It's not bad. It's plus 260 in some spots.
Is Tennessee orange or Florida orange? I can't.
That's Florida orange.
That's Florida. What if I turn the can? I don't know. Trying to get some.
Well, you already took my picks off the screen.
Well, I took them off the screen because I screwed up. Because I accidentally, and when I was typing over the other picks, I accidentally left Mizzou sitting there. So Uncle Big Nick corrected me. So I didn't want to look like a bigger doofus than I already am. So the person we should really reprimand the person typing in the graphics. Guy's a moron. I mean, seriously a moron.
Maybe he deserves meathead.
Yeah, exactly.
So no, but that's my upset special. I like Florida. I think they got a shot to win this game. So I'm going to take them on the money line. It's plus 205 at Caesars. I like those odds and think they got a chance.
I can't say I'm with you or against. That's not one that scares the hell out of me. I mean, Tennessee played so bad last week that if you would have asked me what I would have thought before last week, I probably would have taken Tennessee. But now I'm like, I think I'll just leave it alone and maybe just watch the game. Who knows? But,
I like to live on the edge. I don't have many years left, so I'm rolling the dice, baby.
I have a big opinion on one of these, and it'll come up when my picks come up. But we're going to go to Spencer. By the way, after this week, we're going to go in order from whoever has the worst week will go first to whoever has the best week will go last. That's how we're going to do it from now. This is just the order that went right. Spencer, you're next. Go ahead. You like the Saints under, I see.
I sure do. Yeah, I think it's going to continue the trend of Saints-Panthers games being ugly. Both contests were ugly last year, and it's just both teams have offensive line issues, major offensive line issues. So if you think Trevor Penny's bad, I mean, Hakeem Okonkwo for the Panthers was getting Bryce Young killed last week. So I don't see that changing in 1 week. And plus, like I said earlier, the Panthers have awful receivers. So I think this one goes under. And I like the Bengals to bounce back. I'm with Thomas on that. I think the Bengals and Joe Burrow bounce back. Ravens dealing with a lot of injuries, offensive line injuries, secondary injuries. Marlon Humphrey, Ronnie Stanley likely out. So I think Burrow and company bounce back there. Chase and Higgins, man, too talented not to. Give me the Bengals -3. And in the night, I like the Vikings tonight. I think they cover +6. I think it's a good number. Philly dealing with some defensive injuries as well as Kenny Gainwell, who was their featured back last week, going to be out. So I think the Vikings take advantage of that. Almost went with the money line, but I was like, man, Jalen Hurts is so good. I couldn't quite go Vikings money line. But speaking of money lines, I got a parlay. Well, actually, it's spread, but I've got the Chiefs on the parlay there. The Chiefs to cover to -3, along with over 51. I think Trevor Lawrence keeps pace for most of the game, but let's be real, y'all. Patrick Mahomes ain't starting 0-2. So give me the Chiefs and over 51.
If you could give a hug to any NFL player, I'm convinced that it would be Trevor Lawrence.
Oh, he's up there. I'd love to meet Trevor Lawrence. He just seems like such a chill guy who's just
you'll get your chance. You're going to get your chance. I know you're going to be like begging to go to the Jacksonville locker room when the Saints play the Jags on a Thursday night coming up in a couple months.
Oh, yeah, so, I'll do it. I'll do it.
There's no doubt.
It just amazes me. It's kind of like with Joe Burrow, how it's just like, well, Burrow is just like, I mean, he's got that. He's a little more fiery than Trevor Lawrence, but I mean, Trevor Lawrence still gets results. I mean, if you're a chill dude and get results, it's all good. And in my college play of the week, Kansas State, Mizzou, I'm with Gabe on that. That's just one that just the line doesn't make sense to where I feel like sharps are probably going to be more on the Mizzou side, but evaluating it, I don't really see many chinks in Kansas State's armor. They seem to be a legit contender there in the Big 12, and Mizzou once again looks like a bottom feeder in the SEC. So I know it's at Mizzou.
No Deuce Vaughn anymore.
Right, no Deuce Vaughn. So it's going to be a lot closer than last year, because last year Kansas State wiped the floor with Mizzou. It was just a freaking blowout because they brought back the rivalry that had been a Big 12 rivalry for years, but then they brought it back last year. Now Mizzou's in the SEC. But I still think K-State finds a way here. 3.5 to me is a value.
All right. You notice, by the way, on the screen, I put Spencer's record from last week is 1-4, but overall he's 0-0. What does that mean? Well, that means we didn't count last week. So, but I still had to give him a little bit of the business because he was like talking about the only one he got right was Trevor Lawrence. So, I mean, maybe there is something to that. I mean, his love for Trevor Lawrence helped him last week. And we were arguing over a few picks last week because somebody, even though they don't count, somebody on this panel actually had a pretty good week. Where
preseason? It was preseason.
Oh, he's right here. Okay.
Get the preseason jitters out the way.
All right. Well, it wasn't preseason in my picks column, pal. 4-1. We're going to keep that rolling. And obviously, you see on here, and that, by the way, that last game is supposed to be 22 and not 33. So they're all 22 this week. I was going to go 33 on the Bears and Bucks, but that line changed earlier today. It changed from +3 on the Bears, which is what it is in my column, to +2.5. I don't like it nearly as much. Losing that hook, that half a point. That's a killer. In fact, I probably should have made it 11. I don't like it nearly as much, but I think Chicago wins the game. I'm going to stick with it. The one that I disagree with you guys is one of my favorite things in the world. And when you're talking about betting is when people say, they've got to be better this week. They've got to. Why does Cincinnati have to be better this week? I don't understand. Joe Burrow is still hurting. It's like early August for Joe Burrow. He hadn't even practiced until about a week and a half, 2 weeks ago. He's had a lot of issues, and he had his contract dispute. I think that this is going to linger into like the next few weeks. I don't think Cincinnati's going to look like themselves until like October. I think they will eventually, but what I saw from Baltimore last night, I disagree with both of you, Spencer and Thomas. I think that the Baltimore defense is for real. I think the Ravens are going to be in the running for this AFC North by season's end. We'll have to wait and see. Then my other 3 picks, and Arizona, again, this spread has also changed. I don't like this one nearly as much as I liked this one yesterday. It was plus 5.5. A lot of money coming in on Arizona, which is hard to believe. Enough to move this line to plus 4 from 5.5. I might should have made this 11 as well. And then my other two picks you can see on the screen. New England actually have part of a teaser. I like the teaser aspect, I think, more of this. If you can find someone to tease this with, you're moving across that number, moving from plus 3 to plus 9, getting away from the 3, going through the 6 and the 7, getting all the way to plus 9. Find something you like to tease it with. Maybe the Bears. How about that for a teaser? But I'm going to pick New England in our picks here. And then the Seattle-Detroit over 47. Last year was 48-45 in favor of the Seahawks. I think it's going to be high scoring again. I don't think that Geno Smith is going to be as good as he was last year, but I still think he's going to be good enough. And I think both of these teams are going to score a lot of points. Detroit's defense was not as good as they seemed to be last week. Final thoughts, guys. Spencer?
Yeah, hot and heavy. Yeah, gonna have some interesting stuff there. I'm really curious to see how that Baltimore-Cincy game goes, because that's one that I think's gonna bite you in the butt, JD. I'm just gonna say it now.
Gabe,
don't sleep on Joe Burrow.
Gabe, you're the only one who didn't pick that game. What do you think?
I wasn't touching it. In the same way that you thought the Carolina-Atlanta score was deceiving last week, I really thought the Baltimore game was deceiving. As someone as a loyal and unfortunate Texans fan, had to watch it all last week. I did not think that 25-9 score was really true to the game. I didn't think the Ravens looked all that well or all that good. Maybe that was a testament to the Texans defense. We'll see. But I stay away from that game just because
Ryan's defense.
Both those teams are insanely talented. I wasn't touching it at a 3-point spread.
Thomas, final thoughts.
Well, Spencer said that Mizzou, Kansas State, that the Sharps would be on Mizzou. That is correct. That will be the Pros versus Joes game of the week on Saturday. Big sharp money on Missouri. It doesn't mean it's going to win. I'm just that'll be one of those interesting betting angles to see how that turns out.
No doubt. It's been a lot of fun, guys. We're going to do this every Thursday, finish the show like this. I've had fun. Just because you guys are making some bad NFL picks, that's okay. People need to learn some kind of way what to do, what not to do. That's what we do here in Bayou Bets. And, we'll see who's right. I'll eat crow if I have to. Wouldn't be the first time. Bayou Bets, by the way, we ask you to subscribe to the Bayou Bets YouTube channel if you've not already, and a lot of you have the past few weeks. We thank you for doing that. If you're watching on NOLA.com, if you're watching on our NOLA.com YouTube page or our Facebook page or on Twitter, make sure you go over to YouTube, find Bayou Bets, which you can do very easily. Subscribe, and you'll find out whenever we come out with anything live, such as tomorrow morning, Friday morning, the Datitude Podcast. Larry Holder of The Athletic will be my guest, and we'll be talking about both the Saints and the NFL and what we think about the lines this weekend and what he thinks maybe some of the best action. Jets Cowboys. I'm looking forward to that. Is Zach Wilson really going to play as well as he played last week? And all he needs to do is just not screw up. If he can do that against that defense, that'll be interesting. And then tonight I'm going to be on Final Bet on Fox 8. And then on Sunday, there's a new football show with Fletcher. Travers Mackle is doing a show. It'd probably be about crime or something. But it's Fletcher Mackle who's doing the show, and I'll be on Sunday night. We'll be back next Monday and next Thursday, talking about Saints Panthers right here on Bayou Bets. Thanks for joining us, everyone. Have a wonderful weekend, and you don't have to worry about the Saints, so that'll be fun. We'll see you next week.